You're watching Let the Quran Speak. I'm Sophia, your host. Women's clothing in Islam is often discussed in sweeping terms, but one verse in the Quran makes an interesting exception. It speaks about elderly women, and it offers them some flexibility in terms of how they can dress. We're going to be looking at that now. Dr. Shabir, welcome. I'm going to give you the verse, Dr.
Sure.
Shabir, or a translation of the verse. It's from chapter 24, verse 60, and here is how it goes in English. As for elderly women who no longer anticipate marriage, there is no blame upon them to doff their garments without displaying any ornament. And it is better for them to be modest, and God is hearing, knowing. This is the translation from the Study Quran, Dr. Shabir. And I should mention that this verse is part of our Misunderstood Quranic Verses series. So tell me what you think is misunderstood about this verse.
Well, it is a very interesting verse because, as you said, it makes an exception. But we shouldn't just think of the exception. We should ask, why this exception is there and what does this mean for the greater enterprise of prescribing what Muslim women should wear. So we saw in a previous verse in the same surah, the 31st verse, that there is a mention of the khimar, the head covering. Now, in another chapter altogether, Surah 33, in verse number 59, there is mention of another piece of clothing which is called jilbab. That's in the singular, and jalabib in the plural. So khimar usually means a head covering, but not necessarily so. And if it's a head covering, it's not necessarily a woman's head covering. A man's head covering curiously can be called khimar as well. So today we refer to the man as wearing a turban, but that turban can be called khimar as well. Like in the hadith literature, we find references to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his khimar. Now, in this present verse we're dealing with, Surah 24, verse number 60, there is a mention of another piece of clothing that is called, or clothing in general in the plural is called thiyab. Now, the singular of thiyab is thawb. And what I'm wearing today can be called a thawb in today's language, a man's garb that, goes all the way close to the ankle. But thawb can just simply mean clothing. So in this case, it's referring to women's clothing. And it's saying that as for these women, we'll come back to detailed descriptions of who the women are, but thinking about the mention of clothing. So it is no harm if they were to, as the translation puts it, doff. Like, what is doff? We don't use that
Very
word
old
today,
English,
but it's there in the Study Quran. It's an interesting word because we speak of doffing the hat. You come into the home and there is this hat stand and you put your hat there, right? And so probably they mean like the woman can hang up some pieces of her clothing, means she's not going to wear it. It's a difficult passage to translate from the Arabic to the English because, like, how do you put it? Do you put it that to do away with her clothing, to hang up her clothing? Because if we say she's supposed to hang up her clothing, somebody might be reading that and say, well, wait a minute.
What is she going to wear?
The Quran is telling you you're supposed to hang up your clothing. And that means you can't just simply lay it on the couch. It has to be hung up. And yeah, you're right.
I thought the question was about, well, what is she going to be wearing if she hangs up her clothing?
But that too. Because if thiyab means clothing, just simply clothing, then all of these questions get raised. And so to keep it simple, Muslim commentators have tended to say, remember I mentioned Surah 33, which we have yet to come to. In verse number 59, it mentions jilbab. Jilbab is a large outer cloak that women wear when they go out of the house. So at home, they're in a more relaxed sort of outfit that would probably reveal their arms up to the elbows at least. And probably it doesn't go all the way down to the ankle because they're there among their women folk to begin with, and the men folk are all closely related to them. So none of them are going to, have any lustful desire towards her. Their husband, brother, husband may, but this is allowed, but brother, father, perhaps nephew, and so on. So she's in a more relaxed setting with a relaxed outfit. Now, if she's going to go out, then she's going to wear a formal clothing. And by the way, this goes for men as well. There is an interesting hadith narrative which shows that the Prophet, peace be upon him, was in his home, and then somebody related to him something alarming, and he called for his garment. Doesn't mean he was naked previously, but it means that, he needed the upper garment, because at home, in the heat of the Arabian environment, he might have worn, just something covering from his navel down, and now he was going out, so he's going to appear formally, right, with the upper garment. So too, a woman is going out of the house, so she's going to appear in a more formal and decent manner, given the norms of the society in which she lived. What the Muslim scholar said was that normally she would go out with that outer garment, which is called jilbab. But in this case, the Quran, using the word thiyab, really means jilbab. So it's not that she should remove all of her clothing, but she should just do away with that outer clothing, which is called jilbab. So she could go out with her usual house dress, but she doesn't need the extra burden on her to put on that large outer cloak, so long as she's not making a display of herself, an unnecessary display of herself. She's just going out to her ordinary business, just going about her ordinary business. She's not deliberately trying to flaunt her beauty or something like this. So who are the women who are exempt then from this outer clothing? So it says, well, al-qawaidu min an-nisa. So qawaid is the plural of qaid, which means a person is who is sitting down, literally sitting down. But in this context, it means somebody who is retired. But retired from what? Is it retired from her job? Retired from, is she postmenopausal? Or just simply mentally retired? Retired from the prospect of getting married. Like mentally, she's thinking, I'm not going to get married, right? That's it. I'm done with marriage and all of this, childbearing and all of that. So
it seems like the verse is a bit ambiguous, both in terms of like the clothing and the woman's age, or like whatever her condition would be, right?
Yeah. So a lot has to do with customs of the time. A lot because when does a woman become considered to be retired? It may be different in our context. And when does a woman consider herself to be, free from the responsibilities of marriage and thinking about getting married and so on? So all of this, it's not only societal, but it's also individual. And that means that we have to hesitate before judging a person, because we don't know what's in the person's mind and what they're trying to do. We can have some general rules of society. I mean, all societies have their rules. I mean, rules that say you can't go about naked, this is, widely accepted. But where people draw the line is just different. And in this traditional Muslim society, any society might have been different from what we experience now. So we have to understand everything in context. But what we take away from this whole discussion, Sophia, is that expressions which are used in the Quran give rise to a wide variety of interpretations, and shows that the Quran did not mean to be very precise with these things, because if it wanted, God is the most eloquent of speakers. If he wanted, he could have been very precise about everything. He could have given us diagrams, showing this is the, how a Muslim woman should appear in public. This is the extent of the woman's clothing. This much has to be covered, and so on. Very precise, just like the books of fiqh tend to do later on. They don't give the diagrams generally, not in the classical books, but still, verbal descriptions, sufficed. But the Quran did not intend all of that. God did not intend all of that. And so it's left vague, so that these verses can be interpreted and reinterpreted, given the changing times and circumstances in which we live. The important thing is to preserve decency in society, and not to put too much restrictions on people, and to relax the restrictions when they would seem to be unnecessary and burdensome, and where it will not fulfill a purpose. If the purpose was to preserve that decency, and extra clothing were required, especially in the case of younger women, then it can be relaxed in the case of older women. And this basically is what we can take away from this whole discussion.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.
Assalamu
alaikum.
alaikum. Welcome to Muslim Media Hub, the new home of Let the Quran Speak.
Here we spread positivity and good. We help people experience the beauty of Islam and help them appreciate and understand Muslims.
This beautiful building we purchased at cost $2.3 million.
Yeah, we've already raised a third of that money, and with your help, inshallah, we can pay off the rest.
So we're looking for people who can give $1,000 each. If you can be part of the select group, that's amazing.
Otherwise, just please give whatever you can. Every dollar counts.
It's our collective responsibility to share the message of Islam with our fellow human beings. Please help us continue this good work.
It's a sadaqah jariyah, something that will continue to be a benefit to the Muslim community long after Safiya and I are gone.
Please support our work at muslimmediahub.com.
Your support is zakat eligible and tax deductible.
May Allah bless you and your loved ones today and always. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.